It's Drag. Going to show you my Oakland offense. Now, the main formation in this playbook is trips tight end. Now, if you know a little bit about me, I do tend to run trips tight end almost every year, and in Madden 20, there isn't any change to that. Now, with the Oakland playbook, the main formations that I use, I go ahead and use obviously trips tight end, and then I'll also audible to bunch, and then from there, my other main formation is single back, it doubles off close. Now, I'm just going to show you the audibles that I use here in this introduction video. Basically, all I do is go ahead and use halfback dive, and then I go ahead and use stretch alert screen, bench corner stop, and then the other pass play is going to be switch. Now, I mix this formation in a little bit when I want to pound them, but you have to have a few pass plays in order to keep your opponent guessing so they don't always assume you're running the ball. Now, with bunch, I actually don't make any changes to the audibles. This is just a quick hike formation. I audible over, make one, maybe two adjustments, and then I go ahead and call or hike the ball. And for my main formation here with trips, the audibles that I use, for the first audible, I use double in sail, and then inside zone as my run play, and then I go ahead and have drive post and X spot as my remaining audibles. Now, the main play that I do come out in, I like to come out in PA shot post. I do this every year. I feel like it's the best play in the formation, so I want to make sure that I come out in it. The way that I set up my wide receivers, I go ahead and put my best wide receiver. In this case, it's Michael Thomas. I do like the middle wide receiver there to have route specialist. So that way I can put him on a few different routes just to mix up the plays and make it a little bit better. And then I put my fastest wide receiver or my second best wide receiver on the inside here. So in this case, it is Ted Ginn. And then on the outside, I go ahead and put my least best wide receiver. Now, I do also like a running back where they do have route specialist as well. It's not a requirement, but I do like having angle routes on some plays or mixing in a table route instead of a wheel route. And then basically with the tight end, you don't have to have a specific type of tight end. I just like to have a big body there. So in this case, Jared Cook works well because with stiff arm, it's very good this year. So if I'm dumping the ball off on a drag or on an in or on a corner, I can go ahead and just stiff arm my opponent and hopefully pick up an extra 5 yards. So basically what I'm going to be doing with this ebook, I'm just going to be breaking down all the plays, all the setups, when I typically tend to run a play versus my opponent. There's a lot of adjustments and counter adjustments you have to make in Madden when you're defender, especially playing a competitive player. They're gonna not run the same adjustment every play. They're gonna mix it up. They're gonna basically try to counter your counter, if you know what I mean. So you're gonna have to get good at anticipating what's coming next, and then from there, you'll know what play to call. I do also have a good red zone scheme out of this offense. It's actually out of strong close, just because they do have a halfback dive as well as a outside zone, which is an off tackle. It's a very good run play this year with the blocking, as well as they do have I form close, which is really good as well. They have a an ISO, and then they go ahead and have a power out and stretch in this playbook. This is one of the most underrated running formations in the game right now. So basically, when I'm inside the 10-yard line, instead of coming out in another shotgun formation and having more wide receivers on the field, I'm going to come out in something where I have an extra running back, another tight end, something where I can make sure that I have a dominant running presence. So they have to sell out on the run, which is going to open up some of the other pass plays so I can, easily score in the red zone. Now, with this ebook here, it's a pass heavy ebook, so don't expect a lot of run plays, but I do mix in the run a little bit more this year just because out of the past few years of Madden, the running is way better than it has been. Okay, so basically we're going to go ahead and break down PA shot post in the next video. In this video, we are going to break down PA shot post, which is the play that I come out in every down. Now, with this play, there are a lot of variations that I run just to keep my opponent guessing. Now, based on the coverage that either they're running every down or that I anticipate they're going to run next, is basically how I'm going to go ahead and make my next play call. So, just for the sake of the first, just for the sake of breaking down the video here, I'm going to go ahead and just run the plays against stock coverages. Now, versus cover 2, what I like to do here, I just like to go ahead and whip this B button, wide receiver, and then either streak A or block A, depending on what my opponent is in on defense. If he's a heavy blitzer, I want to make sure he's blocked just so I don't get instantly sacked with the play action. You also can block the running back if you would like, if you don't want to carry out that play action. Now, the reason why I like this play versus cover 2 is because basically with that B button wide receiver, there's either going to be a hard flat or a cloud flat on the left side. Now, if they are in a cloud flat, this basically the cloud flat gets sucked by the post route on X, so the B wide receiver is going to be wide open. Now, if they are on a hard flat, the post is going to be open down the field. It does get underneath the deep blue up top, which, I mean, it's an easy dot. You're going to get 20-30 yards. Now, with the crossing route on Y, it does also get over the top of the cloud flat. So this is a really good cover 2 beating play. If they are in cover 3 and aren't blitzing a lot of people, I do like to streak A just so I have a pull route there. I'm just going to go ahead and run the play now just so you get a sense as to the reads. So if you see here, I'm hiking the ball. Now if you look at B after he crosses past that yellow zone, he is wide open for an easy 5 to 10 yard gain. Now, what I like to do with my trips formations, I do always make sure I run it to the long side of the field, just because it spaces it out a little bit better. And then, based upon where you are, if you're running it sometimes in the short, sometimes a little long, it's easier for the opponent to pick up on what you're doing. So I'm gonna run the play again here, just so you can see the progressions here. Now, if you hike, you see B's wide open, and then from there, if you see Y got way over the top, he was open for a touchdown, but the pressure got in too quick. So another variation that I like to run in PA shot post, I go ahead and cloud flat X, and then I either block or streak A here, and then with the RB button, I like to go ahead and put him on an option run. It's sometimes good to have your receivers on short little routes like this just because they're quick dump offs, especially if they blitz and aren't manned up. Blitzes, if they're manning somebody up, they're usually manning up one of the wide receivers. They tend to forget about the running back because they're assuming you're just going to go ahead and block them. So I'm just going to run the play here so you can see how it works. The left side, you have basically an easy read, a flood concept here. If the cornerback's on a cloud flat, you throw the smoke screen. If he's on a hard flat, the wheel route's going to be wide open. And then on the right side, you're just going to make the easy read. If the running back isn't being used, you dump it off. If he is being used, the crossing route should be open up top. So I'm going to go ahead and run here and just explain the reads so you guys can see. So after I hike it here, you can see that the cornerback on the left side is in a cloud flat, so the smoke screen was wide open. And the yellows were shaded up top, so the underneath routes were wide open on the play. And another setup that I like to run versus cover 2, I actually run it versus cover 3 as well. I just go ahead and in route X, I drag B, and then I go ahead and either block A or streak A. So I'm going to go ahead and run the play here just so you guys can see how the reads work out. Now, you can see that B gets underneath the coverages there. It's just an easy dump off road. I like this play. I run it, a few times every possession just to mix it in. The X post isn't as good as it was last year, so I tend to not keep it, but it's still a nice play to mix in. So basically, the other setup that I have here out of shot post, I'm gonna show you a man beater out of it, as well as a setup versus cover 3 that I really like. I like it every year. Now, the setup versus cover 3, I have two variations. I either go ahead and hitch B, wheel RB, and then streak A, and then I go ahead and motion this wide receiver across the field. That just kind of makes it like a nice little corner out. As you can see, He gets underneath the deep blue zone. It's easy 10-15 yards. And if they do tend to, if they have like a cloud flat over there, you'd make the incorrect play call. You still have routes that get open. You have the hitch, the wheel, and then you have the post on the left side as well, which gets open versus cover 2. And let's see here, the other setup that I basically like to do here, it's the same variation. You go ahead and motion Y versus cover 3, but instead of hitching B, I just go ahead and drag him, streak the wide receiver, hike the ball. As you can see, he's wide open. I chose to dump it down to the drag route, and he was wide open for a 5 or 6 yard gain. Now, I'm going to show you the setup here that I like versus man. Early in the year here, a lot of people are running man coverage just because, I mean, man is better than it has been over the last few years. And I'm going to come out in a formation with a lot more corners just so you can see. It's a very simple setup. I just go ahead and in route B, in route A, and then I go ahead and motion Y a few steps just to get a little bit of separation. So as you can see, B and A wide open, and then Y gets crazy separation because the cornerback cannot press him. That's very huge in this game. If the opponent is pressing with their cornerbacks, they're more likely to stick to them on the route. If you can somehow get a little bit of separation on that, then it gives your wide receiver room to move, and they're going to go ahead and get past them, which leaves wide open for an easy gain. With our next play, we are going to go ahead and show double in sail. Up next, I'm going to break down double in sail. It's a play that I really like to mix in, mostly because there is a flat route already in the play as well as 2 corner routes. It's also an easy yet effective way to attack the blitz. Now I'm going to go ahead and just show you a few setups here. Now with these setups, they do work versus any coverage, so I'm just going to go ahead and choose cover 3 here. Now the first setup that I'm going to show you, it's very easy. All you do is go ahead and streak X, and then I will go ahead and block the tight end here at A. And then with the running back, I do have Kamara, so I do get extra routes. What I personally like to do with him here, I like to put him on an angle route. If you don't have a route specialist at your running back, you can just go ahead and streak him out the backfield. Now I'm just going to show you here, I go ahead and put Y on an out route. I motion him a few steps inside just because I do like motioning my wide receivers on every play. And then you'll just see how the reads get open on the field. Basically, your opponent is going to have to pick who they want to guard on the play. They're going to go ahead and cover the wide receiver on the left side in the flats, or they're going to use that running back angle route. With the angle routes, even if they have him manned up, he is going to torch that defender. Those routes burn man this year really well. If you do get an extended amount of time on the play, so basically if the pressure does not get in, you will be able to throw that corner route deep down the field. I'm just going to run the play one time just so you can see how it works, and then we'll move on to the next setup for double in sail. So you see here, Y is wide open there, out there in the flats, so I just go ahead and dump it off to him. When you're looking at the play, you could also see that the RB route was open over the middle of the field. And this is just a really easy mix-in, just to attack the left side of the field and keep the routes going over there, just to keep your opponent guessing. So you see, wide open, there's nobody around him. The angle routes are really good this year, like I said. Now the second setup here that I like in double in sail, I go ahead and drag the B wide receiver. I block RB just to have a little bit more protection in the backfield. Now I do have Y at a route. He's a route specialist, so I do motion him first, and then I put him on a post route. Now if you don't have a route specialist wide receiver, it's not a problem. You can just put him on a streak just to have a pull route over on the right side of the field. Now the reason why I like this with the first setup, it go ahead and it attacks the left side of the field. This one strictly attacks the right. It's just another great play to complement the others in this formation. So I'm just going to run it once here just so you can see. So I motion him over, I put him on a post route over the middle, and after he passes the tight end, I just go and hike. So you see I have the underneath routes as well as this post. It does get underneath cover 3 and cover 2. With the corner route as well, I mean that gets over the cloud route, the clouds as it gets deeper down the field, or if it's a hard flat, you can go ahead and throw it right away. So I'm gonna go ahead and run it one more time here for you. So as you can see, a wide open. I really like to mix this play in a locked. The last setup here that I like to utilize with double in sail, it's very easy, very good against the blitz, especially if they're sending 6 or 7 people. Unfortunately, that is how people are getting a lot of heat now in Madden. They just basically go ahead and send everybody at you. Now this is going to give you an option of a lot of routes on the field, so basically you just have to make the right read yourself. All I do here, I go ahead and put Y on a flat route, and then I go ahead and streak B. It's as easy as that. You have 2 routes on the flats that you can dump off if there is no defender over there, and then on the left side, the flat route will pull down any sort of cloud flat or anything that'll occupy it. So basically, your XY receiver will be open over the middle. Now, your opponent will have to use that route or have to jump the flat on the right side, as no route really guards a table route in this game. And versus cover 2, that B route and the seams will get open as well. As you'll notice, the cover 2 safety zones aren't very good in Madden this year, so it'll be an easy pass lead to the inside. Sometimes you'll even break it loose and get a touchdown. So I'm just going to run it here just so you guys can see. See, as I hike it, you can see RB is wide open, and then I wait a little bit, and I just wait for X to go ahead and clear the zone, and then it's an easy dot over the middle of the field. Real quick here, I'm just going to go ahead and break down the run and trip set end. The run play that I like is inside zone. I'm just going to explain to you what I like to do with slide protection as well as motion, just to open up the run a little bit more. Now, with this year in Madden, the run is better than previous years, so I do run the ball a little bit more often. I'm usually a pretty pass-happy player, but I do like to pound the ball a little bit more. So with the defense here, I'm just going to go ahead and come out in 3-4, cover 3 sky, just because it is a really good stock run defense, and this way you can just see how well the run is. So basically what I like to do with slide protection, I just like to go ahead and slide protect down, just pinching your line. That way it makes it harder for the user to shoot the gap on that inside zone. If I want to quick hike the run, I just audible to it right after I break the huddle, and then I go ahead and slide protect down and just mash the hike button. Now, I do also like to motion Thomas or this slot Y or triangle on PS4 over to the middle of the field and hike when he gets in between the tackle and the center. This way you just get an extra blocker there, and then you just have to make the read. So if you see, I'm not hitting turbo yet until I get to the hole, and then I hit turbo. It's an easy 10 to 15 yards. Now, you're not going to get that every play. I mean, 1, the defense might shed. 2, your opponent might use the run well and stop you. But it's a really effective run this year, and I do mix it in a lot more than previous years. Next up, we're going to break down the third play in the trip set end formation. That play is drive post. Now, I prefer drive post over the PA counter go play just because of the blocking is way better. I also do think this year the post is better as well because you can't man it up. Now, you will notice that sometimes you can man up the crossing routes, but I'm just going to run a few different play setups that I really like, just so you guys can see how they work. I'm just going to go ahead and call cover 2 on the defense just so you can get an idea. Now for the first setup, all I do here, if you see Y, that is where my route specialist is. I go ahead and put him on a corner. I smoke screen X, and then I will route RB. Now the reason why I like this play, it's very, very good against the blitz, just because you have routes all over the field, and your opponent will basically have to guess right with adjustments. All you're going to have to do is make the right read. Now, sometimes that is easier said than done, but with this offense, as long as you get it down and you get your reads down, you'll have no problem scoring the ball. I'm going to go ahead and run this play here for you, just so you can see how it pans out. Now, I go ahead and hike the ball. As you can see, RB is nude in the flats just because the opponent is in a cloud flat, and the cloud flats do not cover wheel routes at all. If he is in a hard flat over there, I simply just throw it to the tight end, and vice versa on the left side. If the cornerback on the left is in a hard flat, I throw wide, he's going to get right over the top of him, and if he's in a cloud, I just throw that smoke screen. It works the same way with cover 3. If they have a corner in the slot that is in a cloud flat or in a hard flat, it's the same type of read. These corner routes do get underneath the cover 3 deep blues on the outside, so that's why I like this play so much. I'm going to run it one more time here just so you guys can see. As you can see, the cornerback on the left was in a cloud flat, so the corner route was guarded on the left side, but that left that smoke screen wide open. And what I do like about this game, you can throw those smoke screens upfield, so instead of having to throw it and him stop and catch it and then run, you're going to gain less yards that way. This year they go ahead and pass lead it up the field, then you catch it on the run, which you're going to get way more yards. For the next setup here with my drive post, I just go ahead and block RB. I put Y in a post route, and then I drag B. It's as simple as that. It's a way to flood the right side of the field, as well as keep your opponent over the middle, just because they don't want to give up that post route. Now, it's good against the blitz as well, because if you see, you can hit B short, and then you can also acts like a quick hitter route over the middle of the field, just in case they're blitzing off that left side. So I'm just going to run it here, just so you guys can see how the play breaks down. I hike the ball. As you can see, B is wide open. A was in a cloud flat, so it did cover that corner, but B was wide open over there, so you're going to get an easy 5-6 yards. So for the last setup that I run here in this formation, nobody really runs it. I found it last year. I really like it. I just go ahead and block RB. I smoke screen X, and I'm going to put Y in a slant, and then motion him to the right. And then you have an option here with the tight end. If they're not blitzing heavy, you can go ahead and streak them just to have a little bit of a pull route or to hit them in the seams. If your opponent is a heavy blitzer, you're just going to want to go ahead and block him. So I'm going to run the play here. I just go ahead and motion Y to the right. I go ahead and hike it. So as you can see, the smoke screen was wide open on the left side of the field. The cornerback was in a cloud flat, so they left that wide open. Now, what I like so much about this play is the fact that you can, basically your opponent has to pick which route to use. You can't man up motion slants this year, and you can't man up this B post route. So basically the opponent is going to have to pick which route they want to give up. So I'm just going to hike it here. So as you can see, both routes are going over the middle. And B gets right over that cloud flat. It's an easy dot. This drive post play is so underrated. I wish people realized how good it was. I use it every year. I think it is better personally than PA counter go, just because 1, you get way more blocking, 2, this post is really good, and 3, the corner route on the right side is better than that out route in PA counter go, because it gets underneath the deep blues, it's deeper down the field, and you can't man it up as well. Our next video here, we're going to break down X spot. Last up in the trip set end formation, we have X spot. I'm just going to go ahead and break down a couple of setups that I like in this play. Now, with my plays, you can run them versus cover 3, cover 2, cover 4. I like to make my plays universal, basically so you can use them versus multiple coverages. So, just going to come out here in a cover 2 play. Now, the first setup here, I just go ahead and wheel the running back out the backfield. Go ahead and block the tight end, drag X, and streak B. Now, all I do on this play, I just motion Y to the right and have him cross the field. As soon as he passes the tight end, I go ahead and hike the ball. Now, basically, the defense here is going to have to either pick or choose whether or not they want to guard the drag or guard that post. Now, the B streak is mainly just a pull route. Now, versus cover 2, he can get open through the seams, and that wheel route in the backfield can get open depending on the route on the outside. If it is a like a cloud flat or a hard flat, it will get open down the field. a popular adjustment that people do on defense is that safety on the right side of the field. They like to put them in a cover 3 zone over the middle to kind of take away the seams. This way, it leaves the wheel out the backfield wide open. People are going to forget to cover the running back, and it will be open for a long gain down the field. So I'm just going to run the play here one time, just so you can simply see how it works. I go ahead and motion Thomas across the field. After he passes the tight end, I go ahead and hike. And as you can see, I step up in the pocket. The drag is wide open, and easy 10 to 15 yards. Now, if the pressure didn't come in so fast, I would have had that post over the middle. With practice mode, the block shit is a little bit worse than it is in game, so I'm not going to have as much time to throw the ball. The other setup I use out of this play here is the same as the last setup, except for I go ahead and put the tight end on a flat route. Basically, what that does for me, that go ahead and gives me a little screen out the backfield on the right side. So if your opponent is a heavy blitzer, you can just hit that quickly, and then you get extra blocking from that tight end. Now, the reason why I don't just go ahead and put the tight end on that fly route in my main play or my main setup in this formation is just because I like to have a little bit extra blockage, just because with this game the defense is a little bit better with pass rush. Now I'm just going to go ahead and motion them over just so you can see. So as you can see, I'm just going to double it off to the running back. He goes out and blocks the defender, and then it's a nice little screen to mix in. It'll basically keep your opponent guessing. Being able to hit routes quickly is going to make it your offense less predictable. Now with my offenses, that is the key to the whole thing. I mix up my plays a lot. I don't just have a specific money play. I have plays that I like to mix in based upon the coverage my opponent's in, formations my opponent is in, and I just mainly just try to keep them guessing. The other play setup I like in this formation is I go ahead and put the running back on a flat route. If you don't have a running back with route specialist, you can just put them on a wheel. And I go ahead and streak B, and then I go ahead and smoke screen X. Now, all I do with Y, I go ahead and motion a few steps in, just to delay it a little bit. But basically, you're going to be able to pick or choose which side you want to focus on. If your opponent runs to the left, you're going to go ahead and focus the throw on the right. If your opponent at the snap runs to the right, you're going to go ahead and focus on the left side of the field. Now, that's what I like to do just because you don't want to consistently throw at the user just because you have a higher risk of throwing a pick. It's a lot easier to judge based upon the coverage by the computer. So I'm just going to motion here just so you can see how this works. As you can see, table row wide open, the smoke screen was wide open as well. Now, with this play, if your opponent is setting a blitz, the reason why I motion them to have it delayed is just so you can kind of have time to see where your opponent has his defenders, like what type of adjustments he makes with the defenders, just because it will change from play to play. Now, with these routes, it's not going to be something that is open every play. You have to mix up the play calls, you have to keep your opponent guessing, and you cannot force passes because my offenses are strictly based upon play calling and making your reads. There isn't just a specific glitch route, nothing that's just going to get open no matter what. The reason why I like this is because while it may be good against just your average player to have a money play you can abuse every time, it's not going to truly get you better at the game. That's because when you play elite level competition like I do, the opponents know how to stop that. So you have to be able to have basic concepts, plays that you can attack on each side of the field, and then just basically mix it up from there. Next, we're going to go ahead and break down shotgun bunch. In this video of the Oakland playbook, we are going to go ahead and show you my scheme out of shotgun bunch. Now, my shotgun bunch is a little bit different than everybody else's. It doesn't have the same old plays, same old setups. I do like to do a little bit different out of it, but they're quick, easy setups that I just mix in every once in a while. Now, I'm going to come out and trip side end just so you have an idea as to who goes in what spot. So, first play I'm going to show you here, I'm just going to go ahead and audible over to bunch, and then the play is called spacing switch. Now this is a quick high play here. All I do is go ahead and put RB on that post, Now, if you look on the outside on the right, there is a weird little out route over there. Now, I only use that just to pull down any flat zones. My main reads on the play are going to be the post at RB, the tight end at A, and the wide receiver on the left, X for Xbox here. So basically, I'm just going to run the play here just so you can see. Now, with this play, your opponent isn't going to have a lot of time to make adjustments. So basically, when you're in trips tight end and you're audibling over two bunch here, they're not going to be able to re-man up wide receivers. So it's a good chance A or X aren't going to be manned up, so they should be wide open for an easy 4 to 5 yard gain. Now I'm going to hike the ball here just so you can see how the play works. So as you can see, A is wide open right there. That out route pulled the flat zone, and the post route pulled the L zones up. Now if they do shade down here, you should have the post over the middle. It's just a matter of the adjustments your opponent does make, but I do mix this play in quite a bit. I actually did run this exact same setup last year as well. So if you take a look here, this is the setup for spacing switch. Now, the next play in the gun bunch formation is just the run play. It is halfback base. A halfback base is good every year. You get good blocking on the right side. You're able to take it right up the middle if you need to. I don't do anything with the play besides hike. Now, I do like to run this a lot versus either like dollar or 3-3-5. Basically, 3-down lineman sets the bases are really good against. 3-3-5 odd is popular defense at the beginning of the year as well, so I do recommend running this run play versus any of those formations. Now, the next play in the shotgun bunch formation, we do have verticals. Now, there are a lot of setups of verticals that people do like to run. Now, my setup is nice and easy. I just go ahead and block the running back, and then on the solo wide receiver on the left side here, I just go ahead and drag him. Now, if you don't have a route specialist at this RB button here in the slot, you can just go ahead and leave the post that he's on. Now, if you do have a route specialist there, I do like to go ahead and put him on a post just because that post is harder to man up. So, basically, this is the way the play looks here. It's very simple, very easy reads. You're going to go ahead and motion B out wide. Now, if they are in a cover 3, you can go ahead, just like in any other Madden, you can throw that wheel route right away. If they are in man or if they are in cover 2, it will get open as he cuts up the field. Now, if you pay attention to the to our VIP section, there is a cover 2 bomb in there as well. So you can always mix in that setup as well out of here, but this is the setup that I prefer personally. So I'm just going to run it here real quick just so you can see how it does play out. I'm just going to motion B out wide. See, I hike the ball, he is open, and then I have X over the middle. Now if you see, look at RB, he gets wide open across the field. Now this play is really good versus cover 2. That's how I do. It's a formation that I do prefer to run it against. So I'm going to just go ahead and show you the last play in this formation, which the last play is PA post. Now PA post is a pretty popular, used to be a really popular play a few years ago in Madden just because the C route was really good and you could glitch with that C route. But a lot of people don't use it just because that C route's a little bit deeper now. So basically, if you don't have a route specialist wide receiver, the setup is really easy. All you do is go ahead and wheel route Y, and then you put B on a smart routed out route. Now with this setup here, it's pretty easy reads. You have routes all over the field. You can dump the ball off to the wheel route on the left or the flat route on the right. If your opponent does shade down, you can hit either the B wide receiver on that out route or X on that C route. The C routes are pretty good, especially versus cover 2 this year. They get in between the flat zone and the safety zone. That route over the middle as well is designed basically to pull the user to keep them in the middle of the field. You can also hit that route. It is wide open pretty often. I'm just going to run the play here without the raw specialist routes just so you can see how it works. So I go ahead and hike, and as you can see, these zones, I could hit the flat zones right away, but I did wait just so you can see how the play went out here just because there was zones all over the field. There wasn't a lot of room to throw more than 5 yards on the play, so the right read on that play would have been to throw short. Now the other setup here is utilizing the route specialist. I go ahead and wheel the running back. I go ahead and put RB on a corner route, and I go ahead and hitch B. Now this is the setup I prefer personally, just because I feel like the route specialist makes the play even better. So I'm going to go ahead and just hike the ball here, just so you guys can see how it works. It's going to be similar to the other play. The defense is playing deeper because there's nobody shading up or shading down or controlling the defense at the moment. But I just want you to kind of see how the play works. So as you can see, I have the tight end wide open in the flat, easy gain. I also had B right away to dump the ball off. Now, when you're making such quick adjustments, you're going to catch your opponent off guard a lot of the time. There's a chance that they're going to be in the middle of adjustments. So that's why, like, when I audible to other formations, I just like it to be one, maybe two setup, and then it's just a quick hike, if you know what I mean. Just because it doesn't give them a lot of time to make adjustments and basically to counter your adjustment to them, just to keep them on their toes. In our next video, we are going to go ahead and show you our single back doubles close. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you a formation that I just recently found that I really do like the setups in, so I want to get it added to the ebook. It is shotgun tight doubles. Now the way my audibles look, tight end curl is the first play, then I have quick base, and then we go Z spot, and the last audible is mesh spot. So I'm just going to go ahead and come out and trip set in, and then we're going to go ahead and audible over to that tight doubles formation, just so you guys can see the play setups that I like. I'm just going to come out in a stock cover 3 because all I'm really doing here, I'm just showing you guys the play setups, and then I go ahead and audible to tight end curl. The setup is very easy here. If you see triangle, it's Y on the Xbox. I just go ahead and put him on a post over the middle because he is route specialist, and then from there all I do, I go ahead and block the tight end. I go ahead and block the running back if I feel like they're going to go ahead and blitz 6. Now if they're only blitzing 5, I'm going to go ahead and leave him on his table route just because it gives you a quick route to the flats to hit. Now I'm going to go ahead and hike the ball here just so you can see how the play works. This should get open for cover 3, cover 2. You got this nice post over the middle and the drag coming across that will pull down the flat routes on the left side of the field for that corner route. So I'm going to go ahead and hike it here. So you can see the flat is wide open. You got the drag underneath because the linebacker played deep. If you played short, you were going to be able to hit that corner route. So with the quick base play, it's just your simple run play. If you feel like they're not playing very good run defense on the play, all you have to do is hike it. So right in the quick base, I just go ahead and hike it, look for the hole. Unfortunately that time he did shed it, so I didn't really get many yards. The next play in here is Z spot. I really like this play as well. It's just 2 quick, easy setups just so you can attack each sideline. I go ahead and put a triangle on a corner route, and I flat route the square button, and then from there it's an easy read. If the zones are playing low, you can go ahead and hit triangle with a low ball pass. The low ball is really effective this year. Now with the right side, it's kind of the same thing. You got the flat route with the corner, and then you got this kind of delayed curl route with circle. I like that just because it sits really low and get beneath the zone, so you can dump it off there if you need to. So I'm just going to go ahead and call hike here so you guys can see. As you can see, wide open low ball on the left, and the flat route was wide open on the right side just because the linebackers were playing in a purple zone. Now the last play in this formation is mesh spot. You can run this play with or without a route specialist. It's very easy. All I do is streak square, and I go ahead and flat circle. Now the reason why I like this play, if they happen to blitz heavy off the right side, you can throw it really quick to the flat route. Or if you get a little bit more time, this wheel route is going to go up the field, and no zone really covers it. They're going to have to man it up. So you can go ahead and hit them. Should be wide open 5 to 10 yards. Now you also have the drag coming the opposite direction. You got basically a high-low on the left side. You got that deep corner route, and then you got a pull route with the streak, and then you still got this drag underneath to either get under the zone or suck them down so the corner gets open. So now I'm just going to go ahead and call hike here just so you can see how the play works. See, as you can see, the running back got wide open. The flat route did pull down the zone enough for him to sneak through, and unfortunately the tight end got bumped on his route. That doesn't really happen very often. That's actually the first time that happened. So I'm just going to go ahead and run it one more time for you. This is what the play looks like again. And height, as you can see, wide open. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and break down my single back doubles off close scheme. I do like to mix this formation in just because it gives me the option of having a few under center runs. Now, I do have a dive and a stretch out of this formation that I do like to mix in. Just real quick here, I'm going to go ahead and set my audibles. My first audible is stretch alert screen, and then I go ahead and add halfback dive. And then from there, I go ahead and put bench corner stop at my LB option, and my last audible for this formation will be switch. Now the pass plays in this formation are very good as well. They're very easy, just a few adjustments you have to make to the play. So it's once you audible down, you can definitely quick hike your opponent. So I'm going to come out and trips head end here just so you can see how the players line up when I audible over. I'm just going to come out in stock cover 2 just so you guys can see how it plays against the defense. Now I'm going to go ahead and audible down to stretch alert screen. Now what I really like about this play, you have a stretch right over to the tight end, and the wide receiver on the right is close to the line of scrimmage, so you get that extra blocking. You also do have that option to throw the screen route just in case your opponent isn't using it, or if he's blitzing off that side, you can definitely go ahead and throw that screen. Now it's your choice on this play. I'm not going to tell you that you have to throw that screen every play or have to run the stretch. It's mainly you seeing what the defense is in and recognizing what option you need to take on the play. So I'm just going to run it here just so you can see how it works. So as you can see, the tight end picked up the blocker. My wide receiver on the right side didn't do a good job at blocking, and he went ahead and blocked the inside linebacker, which left the cornerback wide open to make a tackle. But I still was able to cut inside and get a few yard gain. Now with these plays, that's all we can really ask, is just to move the chains, just to get a few yards. These aren't home run plays. Now this is the other play that I use in this formation for a run play. It is halfback dive. It's simple. I don't do anything. I just go ahead and hike the ball, and then you just make the read and go right up the middle. Next up here, I'm going to go ahead and show you the bench play in this formation. It is called bench corner stop. Now, if you do not have a route specialist at all at this position at Y in the slot, I just go ahead and whip him just because I like the spacing a little bit better. Then I go ahead and hike the ball. And as you can see, you have the A in the flats, I have Y in the flat. Now depending on how your opponent has the defense set up, if he has hard flats or if he just has like a cover 3 with a hard or a cloud, the reads, it's going to be pretty easy. You can throw the corner route on the right, you can throw the curl route on the left, or you even have that running back delay route. Now the setup that I really like out of that play here, I'm just going to show you here. I do like to go ahead and put Y on a corner route in smoke screen X. It's 2 easy setups. It just gives you a double corner option with 2 dump off routes on the flats. And so if you see here, I have A open, I have X open, and then based upon your opponent's adjustments, if they shade up, shade down, you just basically have to make the read. It's high-low. It's pretty simple once you get it down. You just got to recognize where the corner is playing, and then you just make the read from there. The last play that I am going to show you here is called switch. This play is easy. It's just 2 setups. I go ahead and block RB. I drag Y. Now I get a post on the left, and then a nice dump off route with the drag. I like this setup because I can throw the seam route to B. Seams are really good versus cover 2, as well as that wheel route. I like to mix in wheel routes just because your opponent's not going to really expect them, especially when you're not motioning them. So I have this drag route that's going to come across the middle. Basically, if they're blitzing and not user it, you just dump off to him. And then as he comes across the field, he's going to go ahead and, if it's a cloud or whatever's on the corner or the linebacker is on the right side, he's going to pull that down so the wheel gets open. I'm just going to run the play here just so you can see how the play pans out here. So you see a hike, I could actually dump it off to A right away, but as you see, Y is wide open. These are great mix-in plays. These aren't plays that are going to get you an easy touchdown. They're not plays you want to run every down. And these are plays that I just throw them in every once in a while just because I want to set up the run in this formation. That's the main point of me adding this formation to the scheme. I just want to be able to run stretches if I need to clock, or if I just need like a couple yards to get a first down. I just want to be able to run the ball. I mean, these pass plays, they're not going to make or break the game. They're mainly here just to keep your opponent honest when you audible down to this formation, just so that they're not able to just sell it on the run. So, in my preference, out of the two pass plays, I do prefer bench over switch, just because I have a little bit more shorter routes, and people like to blitz heavy on under center. So, I mean, if your opponent runs mostly coverage, I mean, you could definitely run switch. It's definitely a good play to run. Now, if they are a heavy blitzer, I would definitely recommend that you just go ahead and run bench. So in our next video, I'm going to go ahead and show you my red zone scheme. It is out of I-form close. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and break down my red zone scheme in this playbook. It is out of I-form close. Now, what I like to do here, I go ahead and put Michael Thomas on the right side, and then I put Cameron Meredith on the left side. Basically, I like two big bodies when I'm in the red zone. So, if possible with your team, I would advise to put two big wide receivers there. Now, with my audibles, I go ahead and put halfback ISO at X, power row at Y, and halfback stretch at the LB option. Now, the last audible in this formation, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. I don't use it. I just use these three run plays, and then I have two setups out of wide receiver out, which is my pass play in the formation. So, I'm going to go ahead and just come out in a cover 4, just because it's a pretty good run stopping defense, just so you guys can kind of see how everything works here. Now, the first setup for wide receiver out, all I do is go ahead and wheel the running back. Now, if you see here on this play, you do have two flat routes where you can dump the ball off to. And then basically, if your opponent does shade down, that out route on the left is going to get wide open. The reason why I like that, like with corner routes, sometimes they hit the sidelines and then they kind of just bounce off and go wherever. This wide receiver is going to follow his route along the sidelines. You also have a post over the middle, a nice little short post. Basically, if your opponent decides to use the out route or uses that curl on the right side, you can throw the post route over the middle. I'm going to go ahead and run it here just so you can kind of see how the play works. As you can see, the flats are wide open. The post is wide open on this play. Now, if the zones choose to cover the post over the middle, you can definitely just high pass it over to that curl on the right side. I mean, high pass isn't as effective as it's been, but you can definitely still use it in the red zone. See, I'm going to high pass it to Thomas. He went ahead and caught it for an easy touchdown. With this play, it is very, very good. I usually find some sort of offensive scheme out of I-form close, just because it is really effective formation. The runs are really good out of it, as well as they do usually have a few good pass plays. Now, the other pass play that I do in this formation is really easy as well. I just go ahead and wheel the running back like the previous play, and then I go ahead and put X on a hitch route, and go ahead and put B on a hitch route. Basically, it's kind of like a spacing with the short little curls, and then I do also have a post over the middle still in this play. So I'm going to go ahead and hike the ball. As you can see, the flat routes do a good job of pulling down the flat routes on the outside, and then the post does occupy the yellows over the middle. That leaves the hitches open. You just got to pick one or the other. Sometimes your opponents do get kind of adjusty. In the red zone, they'll just cross-man people. I mean, if they do happen to do it and you run this setup, you may have to throw the ball away. Just don't get impatient and try and force something. The worst thing you can do when you're inside the 10-yard line is throw a pick and give them, give them the ball back. And after you would have wasted all that time driving down the field just to get 0 points. So as you can see, B was open on the right side. I did also have the post over the middle. I didn't throw the ball that time just because I wanted to show you how the play worked. I'm just going to go ahead and run it one more time here for you. As you can see, B is wide open. I just dump it off to him. Easy touchdown. Now, with the run plays, I don't do anything special with them, to be honest. I don't do any motions, I don't do anything, just because I want the runs to look just like the pass. These runs are good as they are anyways. You get good blocking on this ISO, as you can see. I took it right up the middle, easy touchdown. The run's really good this year. Based upon the defense that your opponent's in will be dependent on the run that you use. If everybody's inside the box, you're going to want to run a run play to the outside like the stretch. Now, if everybody's spread out, kind of like in this 3-4 formation here, you're going to run ahead and take it up the middle with either the ISO or the power out. Now, the power out is a really good run play this year. As you can see here, it gets perfect blocking. I just got crazy blocking there. There was a huge hole. Fortunately, there was a shed there, so I got stopped before walking into the end zone. This formation is really underrated in the red zone this year. I think once people see how good it is, they're going to mix it into their scheme. Real quick here, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I like to score on the goal line. Now, usually people like to choose QB sneak just because it's easy to score from the 1 yard line usually every year, but this year they actually do fumble quite often. It isn't very good. I just go ahead and choose fullback dive. I'm going to come out in goal line here on the defense just so you guys can see how well this works. Now, all I do simply, I just go ahead and hike, but once he gets the ball, I just go ahead and dive so he goes ahead and throws himself across the end zone. As you can see, it was an easy 7 points right there. I'm going to run it once more just so you guys can see how consistent it is. Alright, and one more time just so you can see. So as you can see, they don't really get through the line on the defense, and this is a very, very consistent way to score on the red zone this year. We're going to show you some gameplay video here in the trips tight end offense. I'm just going to run it versus a couple of the popular defenses out right now, just explain how to block it, and then basically show you how I run drives versus them. So like I stated, we're going to come out in PA shot post. Now to block this popular 3-4 defense, all I do here, I make sure my tight end is blocking as well as my running back, and then I slide opposite, so I'll slide left in this case. If you're flipped, you will slide right. Then all I do is ID this linebacker on the same side. And then I'm just going to run this play where I whip the circle wide receiver, look at the user. As you can see, he had to pick which route he wanted to guard. He tried to lurk me there, but I was able to place it right over his head. Now, you do want to mix up the plays a little bit. You don't just always want to block two just because it'll get too predictable. So I do like to mix in setups where I don't block anyone. You will have to get rid of the ball quickly. So like in this case, I just dumped it off to Kamara, and then I was able to get an easy 4 or 5 yards. Alright, so basically with this formation, I mean, you just want to make sure that, one, you are picking up the blitz. I wouldn't ever just not block anybody just because, I mean, I wouldn't just block one person just because it's going to come in. You're either going to send everybody out or block nobody. So I'm just going to actually mix him with the same setup just because he's not expecting it. And then I went ahead and hit him with this corner route, was wide open. He did have him in a cloud flat, but cloud flats aren't very good this year, so he was wide open. I'm just going to finish out the rest of the drive here. I'm going to mix in a few different setups here. Now, while you do block it, I do also like getting rid of the ball quickly. See, if you see in this defense, if you send all routes out, you're going to pick up a lot of yards. All you have to do is make the right read when they're blitzing that many people, and I mean, you're going to get a ton of yards on the play because there aren't a lot of defenders out in coverage. Now, with this, I mean, you can definitely still block it like I did show in the first play. All you have to do is the blocking setups that I did show you. Next up here, I'm just going to show you how we block nickel blitz. Nickel blitz is a popular defense every year in Madden just because it's so easy to generate pressure off the edge, but it's a very simple way to block it. All you do is block your running back, and then you go ahead and ID that cornerback in the slot, and then I'm just going to run the play here just so you can see how the blitz gets picked up. So I'm going to motion triangle over here on that post, and then we're going to call hike. Now you see that the blitz got picked up, forces the opponent to go ahead and pick which route they want to use. He went to go guard the in route over the middle at the end there, so I was able to dump it off over to the drag route. Now unfortunately the game didn't give me the catch, it just forced it to hit Ted Ginn in the head. Last up, we're just going to show you how we block dollar. Last up here, we're just going to go ahead and show you how we block dollar, just so you, when you guys get in the game, and if they hit you with dollar, you'll know exactly what to do. Now, also note that with dollar, you can run the ball a lot just because it's susceptible to the run. Simply, all you do to block it, I just go ahead and slide protect left, and then I go ahead and ID the cornerback on the same side as the running back. And then from there, I'm just going to call my play, and this way you guys can see that the blocking works. So I call hike, and as you can see, nobody came through. I hit the smoke screen easy, and it was an easy 5-yard gain. So I really do hope you guys enjoyed this ebook. Definitely, please let us know how you enjoyed it. You can hit us up on Twitter, it's EliteMadden.com, or just let us know in the Discord.